It all started with a simple idea, a whim, really. Easter was coming up, and I'd been browsing online for something festive to wear. Not the usual pastel polo and khakis, no. This year, I wanted something different. Something bold. Something that would make me feel pretty. I dabbled in cross-dressing before, but only in the safety of my apartment, behind locked doors and drawn curtains. The thrill of slipping into silky fabrics, the way a dress hugged my body in ways men's clothing never could, it was intoxicating. But the idea of stepping outside dressed like that? Terrifying. Exhilarating. Impossible. Until it wasn't. The dress was the first thing that caught my eye. A soft pink number with delicate lace trim, fitted at the waist and flaring out just enough to feel feminine without being overwhelming. Paired with white stockings and a pair of low-heeled Mary Janes, it was the perfect Easter outfit, sweet, elegant, and undeniably girly. The moment I tried it on, I knew I had to wear it. Not just at home. Not just for a mirror selfie. Out there. In the wild. The plan was simple. I'd drive to a nearby park, one that was usually quiet, especially in the early afternoon. I'd take a short walk, just to feel what it was like to be her in public. No big deal. Just a quick experiment. If I panicked, I could always turn back. But as I stood in front of the mirror that morning, fully dressed, makeup lightly applied, wig styled into soft waves, my heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst. What was I thinking? This was insane. Someone would recognize me. Someone would laugh. Someone would know. I almost chickened out. Almost. But then I took a deep breath, grabbed my purse, because of course I had a purse now, and stepped outside. The air was crisp, the kind of spring morning that made everything feel fresh and new. Birds chirped, flowers bloomed, and the sun cast a golden glow over the sidewalk. It was like the universe itself was giving me permission. At first, I walked stiffly, hyper-aware of every sound, every glance in my direction. The swish of my skirt against my thighs felt impossibly loud. The click of my heels on the pavement might as well have been a foghorn. But no one screamed. No one pointed. A few people passed by, without so much as a second look. And then a miracle. A woman walking her dog smiled at me. "Love your dress," she said casually before continuing on her way. That tiny moment shattered something inside me. She hadn't seen a man in a dress. She'd just seen a woman. Emboldened, I walked further, my posture relaxing, my steps becoming more natural. I even stopped at a little cafe, ordering a latte with a voice that didn't quite sound like mine, but didn't earn me any strange looks either. The barista handed me my drink with a polite, "Here you go, ma'am," and I nearly melted on the spot. This was happening. I was doing it. But then, as luck would have it, things took a turn. I was crossing the street when I heard a familiar voice call out my name, my real name. My blood turned to ice. Turning slowly, I saw Jake, a co-worker from the office, waving at me from across the sidewalk. His expression shifted from friendly recognition to confusion, then to dawning realization. Oh God. For a heartbeat, we just stared at each other. Then, to my utter shock, Jake grinned. "Damn, dude," he said, stepping closer. "You clean up nice." I expected mockery, disgust, awkwardness. Instead, Jake just shrugged. "You going to that Easter thing downtown? A bunch of us are meeting up. You should come." I blinked. That was it? No freak out? No judgment? Before I could overthink it, I nodded. The rest of the day was a blur. I met up with Jake and a few others, people I'd known for years who had no idea about this side of me, and not a single one batted an eye. One of the girls even complimented my makeup. By the time I got home that evening, my feet ached from the heels, my wig was slightly askew, and my heart was fuller than it had been in years. I'd gone out dressed as her, and the world hadn't ended. In fact, it had just begun. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed the day in my head, the rustle of my skirt in the breeze, the weight of my purse on my shoulder, the way strangers had looked at me and simply seen a woman. It was surreal, liberating, addictive. And Jake's reaction? That had been the biggest shock of all. I'd spent years terrified of anyone finding out, convinced that the moment I stepped outside as her, my whole life would implode. But instead, Jake had just accepted it. Like it was nothing. Like I was still me. The next morning, I woke up with a strange mix of exhilaration and fear. Had I really done that? Had it really been that easy? Or was this some kind of fluke, a perfect alignment of luck and circumstance that would never happen again? I needed to know.
So I did it again.
This time, I chose a different outfit, a flowy sundress in pale yellow, paired with strappy sandals and a wide-brimmed hat. My hands shook as I applied my makeup, but the more I looked in the mirror, the more confident I felt. This wasn't just a costume. This was me. I drove to a shopping mall on the other side of town, someplace busy enough that I could blend in, but not so crowded that I'd feel overwhelmed. The moment I stepped out of the car, my pulse skyrocketed. What if someone recognized me? What if someone said something cruel? But then I remembered the woman with the dog. The barista.
Jake.
I straightened my shoulders and walked inside. At first, I stuck to quiet corners, browsing stores without really seeing anything, my nerves still on high alert. But as minutes passed and no one so much as glanced at me twice, I started to relax. I even dared to try on a few things in a boutique, my heart pounding as I stepped into the fitting room with an armful of dresses. The saleswoman outside didn't blink. "Let me know if you need a different size," she said warmly. I nearly cried. By the time I left the mall, I was floating. I'd done it. Again. And it had been easy. But life, of course, has a way of testing you just when you start feeling invincible. A few days later, I was at work, back in my usual button-down and slacks, my hair short again, my face bare, when Jake sidled up to me at the coffee machine. "So," he said casually, "you gonna tell me about the dress, or?" My stomach dropped. I'd hoped, maybe naively, that he wouldn't bring it up again, that we could just pretend it never happened. But Jake wasn't like that. He was grinning, not mocking, just curious. I took a deep breath. And for the first time in my life, I told someone the truth. Jake listened, nodding along, and when I finished, he just shrugged.
"Cool.
You looked good, by the way." That was it. No interrogation. No awkwardness. Just acceptance. It was the final push I needed. That weekend, I went out again, this time to a little cafe downtown where no one knew me. I wore a soft blue dress, my nails painted to match, and for the first time, I didn't feel like I was pretending. I just was. And when the waiter handed me my coffee with a smile and a "Here you go, miss," I knew I'd never go back. This was who I was meant to be, and the world was ready for her. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of small, terrifying, exhilarating firsts. My confidence grew with each outing, each time I slipped into a dress and stepped outside, each time a stranger called me ma'am without hesitation, each time I realized no one was scrutinizing me as closely as I had feared. But the real turning point came when I decided to stop compartmentalizing my life. It started with a text to Jake. "Do you and the others really not care if I show up as, well, me?" His reply was almost instant. "Dude, we've been waiting for you to catch up." So that Friday, instead of changing back into my guy clothes after work, I brought a change of outfit to the office. A sleek black pencil skirt, a cream-colored blouse, and a pair of low heels. My hands trembled as I locked the bathroom stall behind me, carefully swapping my work attire for something that felt infinitely more right. When I stepped out, half expecting stares or whispers, the office was normal. A few people glanced up, but no one gasped, no one laughed. Just a couple of nods, a smile from Sarah in accounting, and Jake's approving thumbs up. It was almost anticlimactic, and that was the most beautiful part. But life wasn't done surprising me. One evening, as I browsed a thrift store for more additions to my now-growing wardrobe, an older woman, maybe in her 60s, with silver hair and sharp eyes, paused beside me at the dress rack. "You've got a good eye," she said, nodding at the floral wrap dress I was holding. "That color would suit you." I froze, unsure how to respond. Was she being kind? Was this a test? But then she leaned in slightly, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I remember my first time shopping for me too. It gets easier, sweetheart." Before I could even process that, she patted my arm and walked away, leaving me standing there with tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. That night, I looked in the mirror, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't see a man in women's clothing. I saw her, the real me. And I knew then that this wasn't just about clothes. It was about freedom. The next morning, I booked an appointment with a therapist. Not because I thought there was anything wrong with me, but because I needed help untangling years of fear and shame. I needed to figure out who I was beyond the dressing up, beyond the cautious experiments. Turns out, I already knew. I just needed permission to say it out loud. 3 months later, I came out to my family. It wasn't perfect. My dad didn't understand. My brother needed time. But my mom hugged me tight and whispered, "I always wanted a daughter." And now, as I sit here writing this, wearing my favorite sundress and planning my legal name change, I can't help but laugh at how it all started. With one Easter outfit. With one deep breath. With one step out the door. Who knew something as simple as a pink dress could change everything? Therapy was harder than I expected. Unpacking decades of repression, guilt, and quiet longing wasn't something that could be fixed in a few sessions. Some days, I left my therapist's office feeling lighter, like I was finally stepping into sunlight after years in the dark. Other days, I sat in my car and cried until my chest ached, wondering if I'd ever truly feel like me without also feeling like an imposter. But I kept going. And slowly, piece by piece, I started rebuilding my life around the person I'd always been, just never allowed myself to be. Work was the first big shift. After that initial day in the pencil skirt, I stopped hiding. I came in wearing blouses and slacks that actually fit my body the way I wanted them to. I grew my hair out. I started using a new name, Emily, with a few coworkers I trusted first, then gradually with everyone else. HR was surprisingly supportive, updating my email and badge before I'd even finished the legal paperwork. The hardest part wasn't the logistics, though. It was the voice in my head that kept whispering, "You don't belong here. They're just humoring you." But then one Tuesday morning, Sarah from accounting stopped by my desk with a coffee. "You look nice today," she said casually, nodding at my burgundy wrap dress. "That color's perfect for fall. No fanfare. No awkwardness. Just normalcy." It was the best compliment I'd ever received. My social life changed, too. Jake and the others didn't just accept me, they embraced me. Girls' nights became a regular thing, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't the guy tagging along. I was one of them. Sarah taught me how to contour my cheekbones. Rachel took me bra shopping, a revelation. We drank too much wine and laughed until our sides hurt, and sometimes in those moments, I forgot I'd ever lived any other way. But not everything was easy. Dating was a minefield. I tried apps, marking myself as trans in my profile to avoid unpleasant surprises, but the messages ranged from fetishistic to cruel. One guy unmatched me the second I mentioned I was pre-op. Another asked if I was really a woman within 5 minutes of chatting. I almost gave up. Then I met Daniel. We matched on a niche LGBTQ+ dating app, and his first message was, "Tell me 3 things you're passionate about. No pressure, just curiosity." No mention of my gender. No weird fixation on my body. Just genuine interest. Our first date was at a tiny bookstore cafe. I wore a cream-colored sweater dress and knee-high boots, my stomach in knots the entire drive there. What if he took one look at me and changed his mind? What if? But when I walked in, he stood up with a smile, pulled out my chair, and said, "You're even more stunning in person." And that was that. A year after that first Easter outing, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, adjusting the straps of my pale gold bridesmaid dress. Rachel's wedding was in 2 hours, and my hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Am you good?" Jake called from the living room. He'd offered to drive me, claiming it was bad luck for the bride's squad to arrive solo. "I'm fine," I lied, staring at my reflection. The dress was beautiful, flowy, delicate, undeniably feminine, but all I could see were the faint shadows of stubble my foundation couldn't quite hide, the sharpness of my jawline. What if someone at the wedding clocked me? What if? "Hey." Jake appeared in the doorway, already in his suit. "You're spiraling." I swallowed hard. What if I ruin her photos? He rolled his eyes, walked over, and turned me toward the full-length mirror.
Look.
Really look. And for the first time all morning, I did. The woman staring back at me had soft waves cascading over her shoulders, a subtle glow to her skin, a dress that hugged her in all the right places. She was beautiful. She was me. The wedding was perfect. Rachel cried when she saw us all lined up in our bridesmaid dresses. The photographer had us pose in 100 different configurations, and not once did I feel like I didn't belong. At the reception, Daniel spun me around the dance floor, his hand warm on the small of my back. "You're glowing," he murmured in my ear. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. Later that night, as I kicked off my heels and collapsed onto the couch, I scrolled through the photos on my phone. Me laughing with the bridesmaids, me toasting with Jake, me wrapped in Daniel's arms under the twinkling lights. My thumb hovered over one in particular, me standing alone by the cake table, caught mid-laugh, the setting sun casting a golden halo around me. I looked happy, unrecognizably happy. I set the phone down and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. That Easter dress had been the first domino, the first tiny step toward the life I was always meant to live.
And now
I was living it. No more hiding, no more fear. Just me, finally. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.